Chapter 8: Historical Research. As used by the Greeks, history meant an inquiry designed to reconstruct past events, and in a sense, historical research can still be defined as a scholarship to discover what has happened. Currently, historical research, or documentary research, as it is sometimes labeled, although historical research is not limited to documents, typically goes beyond mere description and attempts to interpret the facts as reconstructed. What is historical research? Historical research is the process of systematically examining past events to give an account of what has happened in the past. Tosh and Lang refer to this as historical awareness, which is based on three principles: difference, context, and process. Difference is the recognition of the gulf which separates our own age from our previous ages. Context means that the setting for the subject of the inquiry must be retained. Process is the relationship between events over time, which makes the events more relevant than if they were viewed in isolation. Chronology can be defined as simply the describing of events in the order of their occurrence, a process similar to the older concept of historical research. History has two dimensions, both of which are important to the interpretation of historical data. One dimension is historical time, or the chronology, which takes into account the spacing of events. A good example of Sucha chronology, which is sometimes referred to as a timeline. The second dimension is historical space, or where events occurred, geographical location. As Busha and Harter indicate, historical research can contribute to the body of knowledge about librarianship. It can increase our understanding of when and why past events occurred. By studying history, LIS professionals will look beyond practice and will strive continuously to raise the standards of the profession and improve the system in which it functions. Biographical research. Histories of institutions and organization. The investigation of sources and influences. Editing and translating historical documents. Studying the history of ideas. Compiling bibliographies. 1. Official records, such as laws, deeds, annual reports of organizations, charters, and so on. 2. Newspapers and other periodicals. 3. Eyewitness accounts of events. 4. Archives. 5. Manuscripts. 6. Letters and personal diaries. 7. Biographies, autobiographies, and memoirs. 8. Historical studies. 9. Literary writings. 10. Oral evidence. 11. Memorials. 12. Catalogs. 13. Schedules, agendas, and so on. 14. Archaeological and geological remains non-documents. What are the sources of information? Primary sources represent the data which lie closest to the historical event. They are considered to include the testimony of eyewitnesses, or observations made with one of the other senses. Secondary or second-hand sources may be considered virtually everything not viewed as primary. Everything that historians and others have written about the past are secondary sources and include modes. Evaluation of historical sources. Basic steps of historical research. Device in the historical method. More specifically, the use of a hypothesis in historical research helps to increase the objectivity of the study and minimize researcher bias. It also guides the researcher in the collection, analysis, and interpretation of data by indicating what is relevant to the study. The hypothesis provides a basis for considering various factors in relation to one another, and for synthesizing them into a generalization or conclusion that puts their overall significance in focus. Data analysis in historical research. Twofold task in historical writing. 1. To convey a sense of time or to show chronological development. 2. To analyze and explain the interrelationships of the events studied to detect underlying pattern. Library history.